10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Oops. Sorry, guys. I forgot to move that background. There he is. Hello, Mr. Mike.
God, that's a scary sight to come on to, isn't it?
So, it's funny because every time I had to play that video again, because every time I watch that video, I almost expect a Tom Hanks movie to come up.
Right? It's so good. It's awesome. I love it.
It really is. I mean, it's like it belongs in that realm of what is that the two movies he does about the whole
Like the Da Vinci Code type stuff?
Yes, Da Vinci Code, the Angels and
Yes.
Demons. Like you're almost expecting him to peek around the corner, right?
It's really good. I'm impressed how it came out.
Oh, so am I. It actually turned out really, really well.
Yeah.
Well, folks, now right off the bat, Mike, I got to tell you, and I didn't tell you earlier, more than likely this show is going to run just a tad over.
Oh, are you serious?
Why? I think so. Why? Are you going somewhere?
Oh, wait. My watch just thought I asked if I was being serious. No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for the long haul. I'm in.
Well,
I'm buckled in.
There you go. Well, folks, welcome to part 2 of our trip and our investigation at Sandon BC. And tonight we have a guest, don't we?
I think so.
I think so.
But I don't see this mystery guest.
Well, I think I'm just going to have to go and add this mystery guest. Let's go add this mystery guest.
Hey, I know you.
I know that person too.
Sorry, I was just reading about Sandon.
Now, why does that not surprise me?
I don't know.
Folks, for everybody that doesn't,
Hi, guys.
Everybody that doesn't know, this is Kay Thornton from Faculty X Investigations up in Kelowna, BC. Welcome aboard, Kay.
Nice to be aboard, Captain.
Yeah. Captain.
Captain.
You invited me aboard.
Oh. No.
Ah,
That's got to be a British thing.
You don't look like a board. You look like a person.
not a borg.
Aboard.
A board, like a piece of wood.
Oh.
Like a piece of wood. A board.
Oh, I thought you were calling me a borg. I was going to say.
Okay, that's a Star Trek reference.
Yeah.
True. It is.
Okay. Right.
I am Borg.
Just
You will
ignore it.
you will be assimilated.
I hope
Resistance
not.
is futile.
Well, guys, okay, so after all that assimilation, this is part 2 of our visit to Sandon, and for those that don't know and those that are watching and will watch in the future, because we do have, I don't know how many followers we've got now. It's not a lot, but it's getting up there.
I can see it says 53.
Oh, I was hoping it would say 56, but anyway. But anyway, I don't know if anybody else is on. I'm not sure who actually is guest right now.
I don't see. I think I'm the one guest watching because
You're the one guest. Okay, well, folks, we're going to hopefully everybody else will join in because I did make a note to everybody. I'm not even sure what happened to Amy tonight.
She was. I think she went out of town for the day. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't
everybody's
know
going to
if
have to
she's
watch
back.
this show later. But anyway, Kay did all our well, I would say probably what, 70%, 80% of the history of Sandon.
Like 99% of the history.
Rather a lot. Yeah.
And she did a lot and a tremendous amount. And tonight, folks, we're going to have Kay get a chance to go over a little bit about the history of Sandon from a perspective that we didn't necessarily cover last time. Just some of the research in general that you did, Kay. So I guess, I asked the first question last time. Mike, you can ask the first question this time.
I'm allowed to ask the first question?
I like putting them on the spot, folks.
Okay. All right. Kay,
Yeah,
how
it's been
long?
nice.
How long did it take you to come up with all of that information that you shared with us before we even went there?
Probably up until the morning that you actually arrived to pick me up to go. From the moment Darryl said, "Hey, guess what, guys? We're going to," I started doing the research. And it's been an eventful ride, I can tell you.
I can imagine. I know that you went to lots of different sources for all your information too, right? Like it wasn't just a matter of doing a Google search.
No, I obviously Googled. I never heard of Sandon before. So I looked the place up and, it's a ghost town, but what do they mean by a ghost town? When we think of ghost towns, we think, woo. But in actual fact, when most people talk of ghost towns up here, it's an abandoned town or, somewhere that very few people live, something that was vibrant years and years ago, but now it's whittled itself down to next to nothing. So when I started, I was finding out not only was this a ghost town in that respect, that there wasn't much there. And I remember you telling me that as well, Mike.
Mm.
When I asked, because you said, I've been to Sandon. I said, well, what's there? And you said, not a lot.
Yeah. I wasn't exaggerating, was I?
No, I mean, I remember you saying to me, don't be disappointed.
Yeah.
He really, don't be disappointed. There's not an awful lot there. So that made it all the more intriguing because I knew that there must have been something there.
Yeah.
So then it was starting to dig, and I did.
But you dug into a part that a lot of people didn't. Like one thing I was amazed by what you did was the whole concept of the deaths. Not only did you look at who died, you looked at where they were from, where they came from, how they got there, where they were buried, if they were buried, and it just went on and on and on. But there was one in particular, well, actually two names in particular that I remember that actually drove you to do that. Was there not?
I was very fortunate I heard about a book, a very special book. This book was written and compiled by a guy that grew up in Sandon. He arrived there when he was about 11 years old. And so he knew this town inside out, from the days of it being this huge mining town, and he was just this little boy that couldn't speak English, to him actually growing old in the town, and more or less right up until the day he passed. He loved Sandon so much. And this is the book. It's called Window in the Rock, and it's by a guy called Eugene Peterson. And this has been my Bible. It really has. Going back to what you said, Darryl, I took every single name out of that book that was mentioned, and I did a full Excel spreadsheet of every single name that appeared. Let me take this out because it's easier to show if I can. So everybody that appeared in the book, I wrote down what Eugene said about them, who they were, how old they were, if they died, what sort of character they were. And it just goes on and on and on.
And on.
And on. But that wasn't the only thing I did.
No.
I got hold of the coroner's reports from and this is where I need my glasses, from 1859 to 1939. And I went through all the coroner's reports, and I think you collared me at one point, Darryl. I was 7 hours into it. On one Saturday, I sat down and I did that. And I wrote down every single Sandon, every single New Denver, and every single Three Forks that was mentioned in these coroner's reports. And there was something like 2,000 odd people mentioned.
But there was one thing you also did when you started looking into those coroner's reports. You also found a tie to other locations, which we had been in.
I did. And I think I can mention that now. Can I? So we were very fortunate to be able to go and investigate an amazing place in Vancouver. We actually investigated Playland. And again, researching Playland, you find out about the Japanese internment camp that was in Hastings Park. And more research led me to find out that the Japanese were also interred in Sandon.
Well, both New Denver and Sandon, if I am correct.
New Denver, Sandon, yeah, anywhere in the interior basically, but Sandon gets a particular mention because by then it was a ghost town. These buildings were basically empty. So they took truckloads, trainloads of Japanese people and said, there you are, have at it. And the Japanese actually, they made a life there. They actually repaired a lot of the buildings, and they called that home for a few years. Which
is, like, in itself is just incredible to have them even have done that.
Yeah.
But there was the what's the history I'm looking for, Mike? But you also discovered, you solved, I wouldn't say solved. You
Well, no,
rehashed
she solved
a,
it. She solved it.
a claimed perspective of a headless figure, if I do recall.
Okay, so yeah. So there was something on TV that we watched, and there was a claim that another group had actually been to Sandon, and they spoke about Headless Eric. So I was very intrigued by Headless Eric because they were saying that it was this one particular person. And I thought, well, that seems a bit strange that they're calling him Headless Eric, but they're giving this guy's got a completely different name. So again, trawling through the coroner's reports and trawling through this book, I found Headless Eric. And yeah, and it gets me to, hang on, bear with me. Research, Headless Eric. And Eugene, in his book, had actually written about him. He was known as Big Eric Peterson.
But he wasn't called Headless Eric in the video we watched.
No, they called him John Barr.
Which
was a completely different person.
It was a completely different person, but kind of similar deaths in a strange way. Poor Mr. Barr, in a fit of whatever, had from ear to ear. Now, certain claims, a little bit more research. We have deliberate suicide. There we are. Poor Mr. Barr had slit his throat. But in one report, it actually says that his head was he'd nearly decapitated himself. Right. So I spoke to my daughter who works at the hospital, and I said, is that actually possible that somebody can take a knife and cut through all the bone and the sinew? And it was, no, it can't be done. You'd be dead, or you'd pass out, or you wouldn't have the strength to do that. So this was kind of ruling out Mr. Barr. So then we found poor Eric there, and he'd really met quite the grisly end. He'd taken a stick of dynamite, held it to his head, and blown his head off. So these were two characters when we went to Sandon we were particularly interested in talking to, if we could find. So
now they weren't the only deaths.
Oh gosh, no. I mean, there was some really sad deaths. There was a case of Sandon is built in a valley like this, right? And down the middle, you've got a creek running. And all the miners, they would take all the trees. When we went there, it was lush, right? Mm-hmm. You had so many trees and it was just forest. It's beautiful. But now you've got to imagine this place being devoid of any trees at all, completely gone. Because when the mines were there, they were cutting down the trees because they'd need to, they'd need to shore up all the mine workings. So as you can see in that picture, it's devoid. You wouldn't believe it was the same place now. What happens when there's snow? Now, what did what did Hal tell us about the snow in Sandon, Mike? Can you remember how high he said it got?
I don't remember the exact measurements, but it gets basically up to over the roofs of most of the buildings, right? So
it said up to the second floor of the city hall. Yeah. Was it 20 foot?
Yeah.
So you're imagining.
Yeah.
Is that where you take a step and come up for air and take another step and come up for air?
You can't really imagine it. I know being here in the interior, when we get a couple of feet of snow, every few hours. It's a lot, but 20 foot of snow. So you can imagine the scenario now. You've got a valley like this. You've got no trees holding this snow back. You're going to get avalanches. And the avalanches, unfortunately, when they came down, there was a little girl who sadly died. She was within feet of her mother's arms, and her mother and her grandmother survived, but little Evelyn didn't, or her dog.
Now, were they located up farther up the side of the mountain, on one side of the mountain than the other?
They were up, so where we were
Like
camping.
If you look at that.
Okay, so if you look at that, which way now are we facing?
That's looking up the valley, because you can see the center of yeah.
So if you see the big row of houses further up the top, and there's a little dip in the valley, they were located up there. If you remember where we were camping, and then you had the river, and then you had the other road across the river, people were taking the cars up and they were going hiking up that road. If you carried on up that road, that would take you to where Evelyn's house was.
Oh, so they were quite up there then.
They were quite a distance up there. So this avalanche had come down and it had buried.
Yeah, they weren't as far. They weren't as far as the town of Cody, but they were in that direction.
They were going in that direction. Yeah, they were along Cody Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was quite a huge thing. Yeah, they didn't find. They managed to dig the little girl out. They didn't find her dog until the spring. There was that much snow. So that was one of the sad things that actually happened there. If you want something that was really unfortunate, there was another death, which was a lady, Mrs. Tatry, and she met a terrible death. It was really tragic. So
hang on, guys, I just lost everybody. Oh, there you are. Okay, weird. My screen went completely black.
Oh, weird.
We've had that before, haven't we?
No, it could have been because my Wi-Fi just kicked in. My Wi-Fi was off, I think. Hang on a second, guys. Just a minute.
Well, we'll just talk together, Mike, then.
No, I'm good. I'm back. I'm back.
We're here.
So anyway,
we can still see you and hear you.
Oh, well. It was you guys were just nothing but black.
Oh. I played Microsoft.
Exactly.
It's them.
But there was
Aliens.
there was there was also you made a blanket statement to me at one point in time about going up to Sandon. And you said that basically you could sit down anywhere, click on a recorder, and probably catch an EVP.
Yeah.
To what extent? Why?
It was a mining town, right? So you had people like poor Eric and poor John Barr. They were going around blowing their heads off or slitting their throats. You had avalanches coming down, burying people. You had poor people falling into the creek and drowning, because this isn't any little stream. This creek was, especially spring runoff, it runs really high. There was fights, there was gunfights, there was
Poisonings.
Poisonings, yeah, there's another one. Who a guy drank carbolic acid. So there was everything going on, it was.
And there was also the thing about, now I think Mike at one point in time, now I don't know if I have a picture of this exactly. Let me just have a look here and see if I actually have a picture of this. Maybe I'll have a video of it. No, I couldn't put the video up because of what was said in it. But there
was there bad language?
Well, it was a reference. But you were walking down towards some houses at the bottom end, and somebody said, "Oh, it's Mike visiting the."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
now you know why I didn't put it up.
Yeah.
But that being said, there was something again. And this coincides with what you're saying. There was something, and if I remember correctly, Mike, maybe you can refresh my memory. It was something about what was taking place with the young men in the mines, or something like that, and those women.
Yeah, so the miners basically, when they were up doing their job in the mines, they were breathing in a lot of the dust and stuff from the rocks that they were mining, and it was not a good scenario for them. The average career of a miner in Sandon was about 6 months because they would die. So when they basically could not continue doing their work, they would come back into town, and the ladies of the brothels basically would they're in a way they would turn into nurses for these miners, and they would take care of them in their last few days or weeks of life, making sure that they were taken care of, so to speak. And and then eventually they would pass, and that was kind of their job, right?
And a lot of these were children as well. That was one of the upsetting things. They were children.
Yeah, these miners were not very old.
That was silicosis, right?
I think that's the word.
Silicosis.
Yeah, because they were not in modern mining, there's a lot of water used to keep the dust down. Back then, they didn't use any water. It was pure rock dust they were breathing in, and you can imagine what that would do to your lungs in no amount of time, right? It would just destroy your lungs.
So, Kay, in a grand total, how many do you figure, just off the top of your head, you figure probably passed away, died, were buried either in Sandon, outside of Sandon, cremated, or just never found?
Honestly, Darryl, I couldn't put a number to it. I was amazed how many people were mentioned in coroner's reports, but I was equally amazed at how many people weren't mentioned in coroner's reports, because these things just weren't done. Somebody died, they were buried where they died, or if it was an avalanche, they might not even find the bodies. So there was a few that the coroners came, they did that for them. Some were just taken away and buried. There is a little graveyard in Sandon.
Matter of fact, I do believe I have a picture of not the graveyard itself, but I have those. Some of the headstones from the graveyard. Another one of a headstone of what it looked like. Now I don't know if I have any more of them. I thought I had one more, but I'm not sure where. Oops. Sorry, not sure where I found that one. But and then even the grave, I don't think the graveyard that's in Sandon has actually, or just outside of Sandon, has been, I guess, looked after to a point, but not very well, really.
It fell into disrepair, and then they kind of had to revitalize it. Yeah, exactly.
And no comments yet. So that led to the whole fact that you could basically throw a recorder down and ask some questions, and you're probably going to get a response if you can get past the river flow and the sound and everything else that was down there.
I have to say, okay, so the sound of the river was basically, because it was a constant, right? It did not subside one bit. It's basically like a white noise machine going 24/7.
Yes.
So it definitely made for an interesting experience for doing EVP sessions. I mean, being inside City Hall was fine, but to do an EVP session outside was quite a different experience for sure. Never mind trying to sleep with that noise.
Well, actually, I'd probably fall asleep rather well with that noise myself, but I mean, it just lulls out, right?
Instantly.
There you go.
I was also more worried about bears, so you know.
I have to say, Mike was brilliant. He was so concerned about bears and the fact about putting the tent up. He did great. We were all very proud of you, Mike.
That is true. And, so it brought us into Sandon. We got set up for camping. Mike, actually, you now officially now are the guru of putting up tents.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't go that far, man.
But mind you, folks, whatever you do, don't sleep on his blow-up bed because you'll just slide off.
Yeah. I don't say bring a level with you, but at least put the tent and the mattress on level ground, because I'm not joking. I woke up about 5 or 6 times the first night and I'd slid off the mattress and I was now towards Amy and Kay's tent. And I was not expecting that.
It's like when they start seeing your feet in their tent, you're like, wait a minute, gone a little too far here.
Hey.
Kay, you wake? Kay, you wake? Kay, you wake?
Oh man. So when we got into Santa, we set up camp, we got all that done, and we had our walk through. Now, okay, you had a lot of questions, and I mean a lot of questions for Hal. I dare to say that Kay, between Kay and Dina, she probably, talk Hal's head off with all that stuff. But the information that Hal had, even for you, he was just a wealth of information.
Oh, the information that he's got stored in his head is phenomenal. I could have sat talking to him all day, and I probably would have done. Poor Darryl was there, and it was like herding cats. Right? He'd just get us all lined up to go over here, and it would be, ooh, over there. Ooh, over there.
Okay, the fact that you wanted to see everything and do everything, and it was just like, everywhere you looked, there was like a squirrel moment with you.
Yeah. It was like this. It's like that. Like when what was it? The Simpsons caught one of the guys, and he's like, "Ooh, candy! Ooh, candy! Ooh, candy!" It was great.
There was one point where I was talking to Hal, and we were talking about going up to Ruth Mine.
Yes.
And he was, oh yeah, well, it's just up here and we can go. And the look on Darryl's face. And he went, okay, we have a lot to do. We have to get started. And I was...
I actually thought you were going to cry, Kay.
Well, there's so much to see because you can actually walk up like almost 3 levels on either side if you really wanted to get to the old mines and stuff like that. And they will take you up to a mine. They have the ability to do that. So I want to go through a couple of things with you guys before we carry on too far with this. I got a couple of pictures. Now, one, I just want your thoughts as they come up. Shall we start?
No comment.
That's my dear friend Annabelle, who I was not expecting to bring on the trip, but my wife said I had to because she was sad to see me leaving without her.
All right. Next shot.
That's me. I'm surprised you didn't pick the one with the cat's butt facing the
I
camera.
was going to, because I was going to say, how do you distract Mike around a bus? Just give him a cat. Because there is, and you can see him. He actually has to walk back to the bus because he follows the cat. Oh my Lord, it's hilarious.
I don't know. The look on my face in that picture too. I don't know what was up with that.
I did the favor. I did that. Well, now we have, of course, this one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good friend Kay there on the left and Amy on the right.
And that's my shadow.
Now, if anybody can guess who the next one is.
I think the shirt gives it away.
The shirt, there you go.
So, if you
there is a story behind that mask, right?
Yeah, okay. So that's Amy. And I'm not kidding you. She was wearing that, holding up Annabelle while we were driving between Vernon and Kelowna. And she was looking at people like as I'm passing them in their cars. And I don't know if she gave a reaction. I wasn't looking to see for their reactions, but that was the most hilarious thing. Well, probably the second most hilarious thing besides Annabelle going through the sunroof.
Yeah, and I still have that one. But now, you know why she originally bought that mask, right?
Well, she was trying to scare me. Yeah.
She held me to my secrets. Do not tell. I said, okay.
Well, she stood behind me, and I just kind of looked at her, and I went, "What do you want, Amy?" And she just burst out laughing, and she's like, "How did you know it was me?" And I'm like, "Who else would do that?"
Now I love the next one. Now this is our dear founder, other founder, Nikki. She's standing beside a sign. Which now, if you read the sign, understand Nikki wasn't the only one to stand beside this sign. Beware pickpockets and loose women. Mike also stood beside that sign. So let's see here. Now, okay, so the next one, I mean, I really know that Kay, you said I was trying to push you guys, but like, come on.
I think
That's at the top. That was a lot of shots. I love this shot. I don't know who took it.
I don't know who took that one.
It wasn't me.
Might have been Amy. It was a beauty. It's a beauty shot. I mean, I love the shot. That's City Hall. Right?
That's where we spent the bulk of our time.
Well, 90% of it. Yep. And then of course
for good reason.
Oh, sorry, what?
I think for good reason.
True. Then there's now, Mike. You know what those are.
That's the red light district.
That's the red light district. I love that.
An interesting fact about that is when the fire ripped through in 1900, it took out most of the town, but the red light district was saved. It never.
Because all the men were down there throwing buckets of water on houses. Don't let it burn.
At all costs. It needs to be saved.
There you go. There you go. And one of our favorite places, of course.
Oh man, that was good food.
Good food. Good milkshake. That's the little cafeteria thing that Vita runs, and let me tell you, folks, the food there, if you get a chance, the food there is phenomenal.
And the coffee.
Huh?
And the coffee.
The coffee and the company.
Yeah.
You can't beat it. It's great.
No, it was
now, we didn't get to investigate the museum, but I did take a few things from there like this. These are just a few of the pictures we have. That one you've seen already.
Mm-hmm.
That's a picture, well, from quite a ways back of the City Hall. And I think the last one I've got is, I'm not even sure what that one is. It seemed to have reflected in my window somehow. I don't know how I did that.
It looks like City Hall again.
Yeah, it looks like, no. That's inside that, the museum upstairs. Remember when you walked around up top? So those are the clips I saved, but just as a reminder for you guys, just to let you know what Kay gets away with when she's not being watched. Oh, hang on, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Did you get it?
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. And that's when we first started.
I was trying to pull her down. I was saying no.
Oh, yeah. And that's when we first started going. That was like leaving Kelowna. And next thing you know, we got Annabelle and she's out the window. And let me tell you, she was everywhere. I mean, I swear to God, there's got to be people that drove by and went, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I think I got a letter in the mail from the mayor of Kelowna saying I'm not welcome back again.
And of course, you do remember.
Hey, yummy.
Hey, Beth.
Oh, I like the flowers. Thank you for letting us video you.
Isn't it beautiful? Look at that
It's so
coat.
handsome and healthy and pretty.
And I'm just gonna go over
Just
here.
meandering
Keep
down
going.
the trail. Oop-a-doop-a-doo.
How far would you say? I've got no sense of distance.
50.
Mike's pet.
I mean, it's hard to say how far that was when you're just watching the video of it, but he was probably about 50 feet away from us.
Yeah.
It was pretty close. So,
Yeah, it was
folks,
pretty close.
I can tell you, I have a bunch of members from 2 different teams that have no fear of bears. They're like, "Hey, bear, come here, bear. Hey, want to munch you, bear?"
It's not me. Sorry. I know I made Kay proud because she was like, I can't believe you're actually just standing here watching it. And I'm like, well, because it's up there. It's interested in flowers, not me. That's really what it boiled down to.
And we did tell you not to run.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that too. Yeah.
And now I got another one. Now this is again kind of twofold. So, Mike, I want your opinion based on this photo and the whole concept around it, or based on this video and the whole concept around it, but also, Kay, a little bit of more history on the stuff that's tied to that photo or tied to this video. You ready?
Looks like part of the old boardwalk here.
Yes.
You first, Mike.
Well, I took the video. So basically, Sandon, the main, I don't want to call it street, but thoroughfare, if you want to call it that, was made of wood, and it straddled over the creek.
That's Carpenter
So-
Creek for everybody's notice.
Carpenter Creek, yeah. So all the buildings were on either side of that. So if you can picture like a wooden boardwalk that kind of straddled over top of the creek. So the creek ran underneath all the buildings. No, I mean not directly underneath the buildings, but underneath the boardwalk anyways. And what was it, 1950s, 55?
Yeah.
Basically there's a big washout and destroyed almost all of the city that we know of, and that is basically what's left now of that boardwalk is those pieces of wood that are just sitting there rotting away.
Okay, there is some history to that, plus the fact that there is a very particular death tied to that boardwalk. Other than the people that did die while it was washed out, there was one in particular that was rather.
Yeah, again, it was Mrs. Tatry. So she was up in Cody Road, where we mentioned before about where the avalanche came down. She had a house there and she was on the back deck. And so they believe what happened, she was either leaning on the banister or she was trying to hang washing and she fell into the creek. Now, at the point where her house was, it wasn't covered with the boardwalk, but not far away it was. And she went underneath this boardwalk and was obviously bounced around and the rocks and whatever else was under there. And by the time she came out the other end, she was dead.
Yeah.
It was another very tragic death that happened there. The boardwalk, as Mike said, was swept away because each building on either side of it, they were relegated to look after their own piece of the boardwalk, make sure it was maintained. Well, once the miners and the town started going down, the people were leaving, nobody was paying much attention to the boardwalk. There was no money. And so it was getting into disrepair anyway. And there was stuff underneath. You can imagine a boardwalk and nobody's cleaning out rubble and trees and branches. So it was clogging up. So you can imagine when you get a spring runoff and all this water was coming down and it just met this resistance and it just went up, and it took out the boardwalk, it took out buildings that were there. A lot of buildings collapsed. And basically what you see now in Sandon is basically what was left from a lot of that destruction.
Yeah.
Then the people came in, salvage crews came in, and they took the wood and whatever else they could find. There was thieving and that, theft came and they took stuff away. So what you see is basically what's left now.
And just to note that the houses that went up, like the second and third level, a lot of them, the reason you don't see them anymore is because basically that 20 feet of snow that Kay had mentioned earlier, basically built up over years, and because they weren't looked after, they were abandoned. Eventually they collapsed, and now there's just some of them just have foundations left. That's it. So what you see is growing trees. They're growing trees, but the foundations of some of these places still do exist. You just have to do a little walking to get to them.
Well, as an example, Darryl, sorry to interrupt, but basically where we were camping was once the second rendition of the Rico Hotel.
Good.
And we would have been considered basically in the lobby of what that hotel, where it once stood. So there was actually a foundation. There was even a piece of pipe that was sticking out from the ground. So it wasn't just your traditional campground. It was, you were literally sleeping on the grounds of a ghost of a building. Really?
Yeah, what was there? Now, was it the third or was it the second rendition? I thought it was the second one, Kay.
I think it was the third one. I think it was the third one.
I thought Hal said it was the second one.
The first one was destroyed in the fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then they moved the other one over to where the train station was. And then, isn't that right, at that one? And then the one where we were camping, I think that's right. I think it was the third one.
We'll have to go back and ask Hal that question because I don't remember.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But it was interesting because just outside our tent, there was an old bed frame.
Yeah.
And there was an old safe that had rotted out. All sorts of bits from the hotel. It was...
Which is going to bring me to another bit when we get into the investigation side of things a little bit. Got a couple more videos to show you. Here's one.
Mike and Amy here.
Hi.
Exploring. And we found this. I don't know if you could actually read it. Might be backwards for you guys. Anyways, more to come.
No, it wasn't backwards at all.
No, it was backwards for me when I was watching the video. But
yeah, but I love how it says on there, "Sleep with the ghosts."
Yeah,
they aren't kidding. They really aren't kidding. And folks, we'll get into that in just a second. Now, I got a couple more videos. This one as well. You can give me your thoughts on this one.
What a fitting song for a courthouse. And last one, Helen Kane. Do you know Helen Kane? I want to be bad.
Why?
Mike's got some really good dance moves.
Yes, he does, folks, but we didn't capture him on video. At least not that I have posted yet. But I still have the video, and I do believe I've got you, Mike. So you can be expecting that one. But why were we trying old music?
Well, one theory is that you strike a chord with a memory, right? So if someone died and they heard that music once in their life, and maybe it'll get them to open up and communicate with you because you're trying to make a connection with them, right? That's basically the basis on that.
Got one more here to show you, well, a couple more here. Now this is, again, this happened. Now you remember last time we did the show, we were talking about a bang that happened. This is
Yes,
what
the Big
happened
Bang.
after that.
Hello?
That has to be someone.
That, I don't know.
Has to be.
Didn't sound like, pardon me, didn't sound like the sign. But
Could sound like a ghost.
we're being locked in.
Oh, it's nice and warm upstairs. Backside the couch.
Yeah. I felt a lot more upstairs.
Just gonna wait until.
So we were actually, after that bang, me and Amy did take off over the other side. Amy went downstairs and checked. The people downstairs heard it, but they couldn't explain it either. So we all did our stuff, and then later on we were all moving around. We were doing some stuff, and Mike happened to walk away on the other side by himself. Well, this is what Mike did that I never knew about.
All right, Mike here. I'm in the City Hall. Daryl's is upstairs talking to the ladies. We're going to do a spirit box downstairs in the first floor. I'm on the second floor. Earlier we heard a loud bang come from on this side behind me. No explanation for it. So I guess we'll see if there's anything on our trail cams we set up earlier, but interesting. And I do have this mannequin in the window here that they like to put out there. So yeah, it's been a very interesting day of investigating. So maybe another hour or two left and that'll be it for us. As I said before, more to come.
I just happened to find that one, Mike.
I was just trying to document it as much as I could. I just thought it was kind of fun to do stuff like that.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. I just thought it blended so well with the other one. Now, I wasn't there at night, folks. I slept in a hotel. I went where I was supposedly comfortable, but then, when you're sleeping on a bed and you jump on the bed and it goes wobble, 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 you have to start thinking, was I more comfortable on the bed or would I have been happier camping? I don't know. But honestly, the Valhalla Inn was okay, other than one silverfish, but that was nothing really. It was in the bathroom. Don't worry about it. But at night there, I know I didn't get a chance to see how dark it was, but somebody, I don't know if you were out with Amy, Mike, or what was going on. The three you went out. I don't know, but I got this, and this kind of folks, this shows just how dark it really was.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah. That was actually, I took that video after we were done investigating. We did an EVP session in one of the trolley buses.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
And then later that night, our good friend Nikki
I love Nikki's video.
apparently was up, and this is what she did.
Okay, here's the situation. It's almost 11 at night. There is some creepy guy that is camping over a couple areas. And across the road, I was hearing some noises that might or may not be campers. I think might be a bear. And Patrick saw eyes coming out of the bush, which would not have been the campers. So we're pretty sure we're surrounded by a crazy person and bears. See how tonight goes. I hope to see you all tomorrow.
I love that video. Just, I hope to see you tomorrow.
It was perfect. It was hilarious. It was a lot of fun. All right. So I've only got, let me see here. I've got, okay. Well, I got 4 videos to show, but I'm going to hold off on those. Now, we got into the investigation, and as we explained last time, we were up on the 2nd floor. And there was some events that took place. Now, guys, we had EDIs, and for those that don't know, and again, I didn't bring it with me. I should have had it with me, but you can look it up online, find it when. Yes.
Do you want me to get mine?
Well, do you have to run for?
About 6 foot.
Go for it. Oh, there goes Kay. But we had an EDI, and the EDI has, like I said before, EMF, vibration, temperature gauge, pressure, and so on and so forth. And we had, there it is, and we had the yellow pressure light going on 2 EDIs. I love that.
Vanna.
And the pressure light, I think if Kay holds it close enough, she can point to where the pressure light was. No, there you go. Up, down a little bit, Kay. Down a little bit. Down. No, move the thing down. Nope, the other way. Up. The yellow, right next to the green one there. There you go. Yeah, well, that's the green. There's the yellow. Yeah, there you go. Okay, there's the yellow. That's the one that was doing it. Okay, we're good. But that was the one that was doing it, and we had that going. Couple flashes on one for yes, or a flash at least on yes for one, and on the other one was for no. And believe me, folks, when you see it, and you can actually see it per question, either going yes or no, you have to wonder what the heck is going on. And it was pretty cool. But anyway, we were up there. Me and Mike had gone down. We had asked for things to be done. We didn't ask for anything stupid or anything like that. We left the girls alone. We went up to the powerhouse. And, well, okay. Well, there was 4 of you. Come on, I didn't leave you alone.
Darryl left me all alone.
I did. I left him out on the bench.
With the bear.
Well, it was a picnic table. He was looking for a picnic basket.
Sorry.
His name wasn't Boo Boo, was it? Okay, something happened there. What I know, Amy started to elaborate on what happened, but what happened to you?
Apart from my Google is just making strange noises over there at me, freaked me out.
As long as nothing in your closet falls again.
Don't. So as Darryl was saying, we had 2 EDIs, one over here and one over there. And while Darryl and Mike were there, these things were talking to themselves. Darryl was asking questions, and whatever was there really liked him. He was really happy. So Darryl and Mike tootle off. They go down to the powerhouse, leaving us 4
Picture hand in hand, tootling off.
leaving us poor 4 innocent, vulnerable women all by ourselves. Shut it.
Just tootling along.
Things were happening to Amy, which were really quite strange. She would start to feel really cold, and she would verbalize it. Guys, it's gone really, really cold. Anyway, she did this at one point. I'd heard a female voice, and I mentioned this. I said, I've just heard this female voice. And Amy said, I'm so cold. I'm shaking here. I'm really cold. Now, I was holding my voice recorder on a tripod, and I was holding it like this, okay? And here, I think it was Nikki that was talking, I get pinched so hard, I almost dropped my recorder, and I go, ow, ow, ow. That was the first thing that was really strange and a bit unnerving, to be pinched. Not so long after that, we were asking questions again. Amy says she's cold, and I get pushed. Now, if you go back to that video that you showed of us sort of hanging around, I was stood at the end of all that pile of wood where you'd originally been, Darryl. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the walkie goes off, and you're talking about, how are we? And I say to you, what did you say? And you said, is there anything happening? I said, well, you better come back. So you 2 came back. During this time, these things had ceased to talk to us, apart from no.
Now, weren't you pushed too, though, Kay?
Yeah, that's what I said. I did say. I said I was pushed.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We couldn't get these things to talk, apart from saying no. And we thought, well, maybe one of them's faulty. So we swapped them around. And it still said no. The yes one, even if we swapped it around. So we thought, what the heck's going on? We tried moving the REM pod. We tried moving the rooks around. We put them on a lower level. Couldn't get anything to work. Nothing was working. So you two come back in. We tell you what's been happening. And Darryl starts going, these are my friends. Mike said, nobody does this to my friends, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
These things start talking again. And it was, what the heck? You were really giving what for to whatever was there. You will do this and you're going to apologize. And that's important, is the fact that you said you will apologize. You have to apologize.
You have to say sorry.
You have to say sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So, go on.
After that, we went downstairs, and we left the second floor. Now, Mike, you had the camera on you. Now we're going to get to now. Just remember, folks, I did say you have to say sorry. We'll get to that soon. This is why folks were running over a little bit on our timeline, because I told you we would be. All right, so we go down to the very bottom floor, which used to be the old fire hall, I do believe. And Mike, you had the camera. What happened? I went in, Amy went in, Dina went in, Mike went in, Kay went in behind us. So what happened? And Nikki, sorry, not Dina, Nikki.
We had just actually, I think we had just finished doing a spirit box session, if I'm not mistaken. And then we shut the spirit box off. We were all taking turns asking questions. And then it came to Kay's turn. So I turned to point the camera at Kay. And all of a sudden the camera made the jingle like it had stopped recording. The view screen was still on. The camera was still on, but it had indeed stopped recording. I did not press the stop button. I have no explanation for it. I was like, what the hell just happened? Because this thing just all of a sudden shut off. Like, it's still working, but it's not recording. And it was only after I had pointed it towards Kay. It had been working just fine up until that point.
So then I took the camera from you.
Yeah.
And I looked, and we actually shut the door, turned it back on, it went on, but then I looked, and the battery was completely dead.
Yeah.
Now, folks, this is a 5-hour battery. It had almost a full it was over 5 hours. It had almost a full 5 hours on it when we walked downstairs.
Yeah.
And it completely, utterly dead.
Yeah,
which was...
I've never seen that happen. Not in my years doing that.
Not like that. I've seen cameras shut off. I've seen battery drain, but not to that extent.
I've never seen a camera. I've never seen a video camera like the recording button get pressed and turned off, but the camera stays operating.
Yeah. Now, folks,
I've never seen.
Just to be clear, Mike, we got to tell everybody, we had this on a monopod.
Yes.
His hand was nowhere near the camera.
Nowhere near. No.
Okay. It's down on the monopod.
Right? Like,
so, yeah.
You're holding the camera like that, right?
That's right. So nowhere near the camera. So we can't explain why that shut off and why did it only shut off pointing at Kay. So that happened. So we called it a night. We went outside. We packed everything up, and I headed back to my hotel, and you guys went to sleep. Now, you guys, I don't know what you did, but you finally ended up heading off to bed to go to sleep. Kay, you went into your tent. Amy had her experience, but then what happened to you?
So after you left us, we actually went to sit around by the campfire for a little bit because, we needed to decompress a bit, after the events of what had been happening. And then we went to bed. So Mike's in his tent, and Amy and I were sharing a tent, and I was lying in bed on a cot where we were actually camping to the side of us, we had two great big semi-container storage things. And you couldn't sort of really get down the side because the tent was right there. And I was lying there just mulling over what was going on, what had happened that night. And there was a male voice in my ear right here, sorry.
Didn't you hear footsteps before that?
I didn't hear the footsteps. It was Amy and I think
Yeah,
Michael
me
heard that.
and Amy heard them.
Oh, okay. And then you got sorry.
I was just sort of, holy crap, you know. So, and it wasn't. I didn't believe the sentiment. Put it that way. It was a sorry. Male voice. Weird as anything.
Now, folks, remember I did tell you he had to say sorry.
Oh, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Now, think about this, folks, for just a second. There's this person that affected her upstairs. This happened in the city hall. We camped. How many feet would you say that is? 150 feet away? 200 feet away?
200 feet away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever it was, definitely knew how to move.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn cool. And to get a story. I don't, even if the sentiment really wasn't meant, we still got a story.
And the interesting thing about that is back in that sort of day, women were chattels. They were owned. Women weren't equal to men. They were nowhere near equal. So for a man to actually say sorry to a woman is kind of
Punishment?
It would have been to them, yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, but you're talking like way back. But I mean, I can see that. I can see a man being upset about having to do it, but I'd be damned if I was going to let him get away with it.
The way that me and you, Darryl, the way we kind of came across was kind of like, we teamed up against whatever was there. We basically set the ground saying that was not okay. Like, you cannot be doing that. You need to apologize, right?
Yeah.
That's not what we came here for. So it's almost like whatever was there was kind of like, fine, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it proves right there and then that whatever was there was intelligent, 100%.
Intelligent and could move from place to place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that wasn't the only thing that happened though, was it? Because I fell asleep and then Amy started having her experiences with noises and the bang on the side of the container and lights as well.
The lights, yeah.
You heard this as well, Mike, I believe.
I heard it. I heard the bang on the metal of the trailer that was beside us, but I did not see any lights.
Mike's going, it's a bear.
Well, I mean, at the time I was kind of like, I thought maybe someone was just getting up and walking to the washroom, right?
Yeah.
Because that was my thought. I didn't actually think bear. And then even in the morning, Patrick suggested it could have been a bear, it could have been a deer, because we know that there was lots of deer there too.
Yeah, could have been a lot of different things.
Yeah, my mind just went to wildlife. I didn't really think anything really of it, but.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, folks, I know it's getting on, so we're gonna cut this short pretty quick. But during our whole time there, now Kay has a bit of history, and she'll know exactly what I'm talking about shortly. And there was 3 videos made, and I just want to play these to you, just 1, 2, and 3. Sit back, have a giggle, and enjoy.
I found it. I'm taking it home.
There's that one. Then there's
just watch your stuff across, okay? Now, can you make a step across, okay?
Just watch that piece
If
is
not,
loose at the
you
edge.
can always step down and step on that and go across. Yeah, I might do that. All right, just step straight down.
Because that piece is loose at the edge.
All right. Step in the hole. You okay? All right, there you go, girl. Got some pictures of her.
We're gonna trade some.
Back and take them from out front too. You gotta get near the window where we can see you, Kay. Hey.
We can't see you.
We can't see you.
Hang on, I'm gonna have to climb a bit.
There you go.
Hey, give us a wave.
Oh, if my dad, my granddad, my great grandfather could see me, eh? Wow.
So that's part 2.
Can I just say, Darryl, there was a notice on there that said stay off, but we did have permission, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Part-
Good for you, Kay?
Watch your back, too.
Here. Can you here, she's on video if you wanna.
I feel like Casey Jones. Oh, this is amazing.
Well, yeah, we've got the pictures of her in the room.
It runs in the family. Choo choo. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Darryl.
All right. Are you okay coming down?
So, folks, yeah, you got a little history with trains, don't you, Kay?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Now, folks, I mean, we had a lot of fun up there, but there was one last video I got to show you, and then we're going to say goodnight. But I just had to put up this because this, if anything says anything about Mike, this says it all. All right? Have a look. I love it. I love it. I laughed like hell when I saw that. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, we've been on here for an hour and 12 minutes. So, Kay, what can I say, man? Thank you so much for joining us on Off the Cuff. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board and to talk about Sandon and relive it again. It's been awesome.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. So, on behalf of myself, Darryl, and that guy over there, and we want to wish you all a very good night, and thanks for joining us on Off the Cuff. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks because hopefully by that time we'll have some findings to show you. Well, I guess that's what I'm aiming for, but we'll see. If we don't get it in next week or the week after that, we will get it in shortly after that. But hope we'll get the findings to you soon. Anyway, guys, good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone. Night, night.